he's a star, but he's not he's not household name star. And I would argue that LaMelo is a bigger star than he is. So it has to be at the LaMelo price point. Like anything more than that, and I think Puma's going to get some pushback. If these are 140, 150, 160, I think Puma's going to see a lot of pushback on that.
All right, hello and welcome to episode 40 of the Too Hard to Pass podcast. I'm your co-host, Juan Martinez. And to my left or to my right, it's Jacques Slade, who doesn't have a Switch 2. I'm going to, mock him a little bit for that.
Wow, that's how we're starting the show. That doesn't have a Switch 2. I can get myself a Switch 2. It's not like they're super duper hard to come by.
I
could have one.
This bit would actually be more funny if you actually couldn't get one. But you can actually just probably go get one right now if you wanted to.
Yeah, I saw a buddy post earlier that they went this morning to get it.
Yeah.
They just went this morning at like 6 a.m. to go get one. And they had I guess they had 60 at the store that he went to.
Oh, nice.
And then I also saw that Costco has it's not even really like a deal, honestly. You get the game, you get the system, you get Mario Kart.
Yeah.
And then you get a year of the online direct or whatever it is.
Oh, the expansion, the online thing where you can play online, and you also get access to all the retro games and all that stuff.
Like all the retro games and all that stuff. Or a year of that, and it was $524. But I was doing the math, and it's like $550 basically. So it's
you're saving
$25 off. It's not a ton.
Yeah, it's not a lot. But this has been a Nintendo filled week for me, Jacques.
I can only imagine.
It was not really planned. It was just one of those things that just so happened that everything lined up. I was in San Francisco over the weekend for family business stuff. Had to get taken care of and all that. But I also carved out some time to go to the new Nintendo store in San Francisco. It just opened the week prior. Cool. Yeah. And I was worried about there being a line. Was it going to be one of those things where all the Nintendo fans were going to be there? And sure enough, when I got there, there was a line. There was quite a long line. It stretched the block, and it took about an hour to get there. But it wasn't that bad. It was in the middle, Union Square in San Francisco and everything. And the people who I was in line with, pretty cool people. One of them even had a dog. So I was just he was a good boy the whole time. I was just
hanging out with the dog.
Yeah. The dog was just hey man, well, I don't know why we're in this line. What are we doing here? What is this life? Why are we not walking around? Why am I in this line?
Right. Why are we standing in this line?
Why are we standing? Why aren't we doing my walk that I am accustomed to and everything? But no, it was a good experience, getting to go to that Nintendo store. I've been to the one in New York. This one's kind of similar. They've got all the exclusive merch. They've got they're very specific. You can't buy it anywhere else kind of stuff. Ended up with this jacket.
Oh, that's cool.
It's probably my excuse to wear this jacket. It's probably the only time I'll be able to wear this jacket until winter.
Oh, yeah. I was about to say, because it's about to get hot, bro.
It's about to get hot, yeah. So this is an Animal Crossing jacket. It's the one the dodo bird wears, the pilot who takes you to the different islands, but yeah, no, it was fun. And then there's a lot of also about some, merch for, family and all that stuff. Because, that's the thing when you go to these stores that, you have to work to get into. You make the phone calls hey, do you want something? Hey, do you want something? And all that stuff. So I just ended up buying, the bill ended up being pretty decent after all was said and done. I was I didn't know. I didn't know this sticker. I didn't know this cookie jar set was worth this much. There's a lot of home goods, Jacques. There's a lot of you want an apron, you want plates, you want spoon and forks, you want a lot of Animal Crossing theme, but also a lot of Mario stuff, a lot of home goods. If Nintendo ever decided to open up a home goods store, they could clean up, because by the time I got there, that was already noon, and they opened at 10. Yeah, something like that. There's already a lot of stuff was gone, because it's a new store, so people are going to be buying up all of the rarer merch that was there. So by the time I got there, some of the figures, some of the toys were gone. Some of the more specific shirts were also got sizes weren't available and all that stuff. So
yeah, I can see that. I can see apparel and stuff, but the hard goods. I mean, I guess so. If it's just, how long has it been open?
A week. A week.
Oh,
well,
okay.
2 weeks
Yeah,
now.
okay.
But yeah,
I
it
guess
was a
so.
week, yeah.
But I'm still confused about this home goods part, like plates and forks and.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Yeah,
guess
I
for like
mean,
kids, I guess kids are gonna want to like, oh, I want to eat off a Mario plate. I want my Mario plate, or I want my Zelda plate, or I want my Luigi plate, or
yeah, but the
whatever.
Animal Crossing stuff, though, Jacques, that was the thing that all the. See, you have your Disney adults, and I guess I would consider myself a Nintendo adult, but I don't buy any of that stuff. It's not really my cup of tea. But
Oh.
But like, with Animal Crossing, there's a lot of like home, like, because the whole bit of Animal Crossing was like building your house, decorating it, and all that stuff. So it
Yeah.
translates. So there's a lot of stuff like that, where you've got like home decors and like stuff you can put in the house and everything that's Animal Crossing themed. And like I said, aprons and stuff you can use to cook and everything. There's a lot of that in Japan, but and it's slowly making its way here stateside. So, a lot of that stuff. And then you've got like your typical Pokemon merch, Zelda merch, Metroid merch that you don't really see in like, your Targets or your GameStops or your Hot Topics. So it's more casual. Like, it's one of those things where it's like, when you go out, sometimes you're like, there's this point where you're kind of embarrassed to wear like, oh, a video game shirt or like a whatever shirt. This is more like subtle. There's a lot of like subtlety to some of the merch. So I was like, oh, that's pretty neat.
Oh, okay.
So, a lot of
Yeah, well,
of that
first
stuff
of
is
all,
also
I'd like to
available.
say that I'm never embarrassed to wear a video game shirt
Oh, same,
ever.
same, 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 same. But I mean, but I also have my line of like, I don't need like a shirt that has like a giant Mario face on it. As much as I was like a big fan of Mario, I don't need that. But I just need something that just works for
Uh,
my style. Works for my style. I mean,
yeah.
look, I'm wearing a jacket of a dodo bird that a dodo bird wears in a video game. Clearly, I have no shame. But I just needed to
Yeah.
like
I mean, I
make
have
sense to
a
me.
I say I have a shirt with a big Nintendo controller on the front.
Yeah, yeah. So like nothing wrong with that. It's just it just has to make sense to your style, and some of those things just
Yeah.
doesn't work for me. But whatever. But all in all, it's a good time. It's probably gonna be like that for the first couple of weeks or months and everything, because like the Nintendo store in New York doesn't have those lines, as far as I can tell. Every time I visited there, it's been easy to get in. So it's probably just the novelty of it being new, and also having
They
like
knew, yeah.
yeah, and also because I bought enough stuff, I ended up with one of those like, collectible coins and like a sticker that says like, you were here at like the launch of the store. So I'm guessing it's one of those things too,
Oh,
where
that's cool.
yeah, yeah. So, and I'm sure people are selling that on eBay, just because it's like, hey man, I got this free thing, but also, hey, how much is it going for on eBay? So,
How much is it? Yeah, like what is
yeah,
it? How much can I buy?
how much can I
That's
buy? How much
funny.
can I resell this for? But yeah, so no, that was a good time. Good time. So that was like the and I've been to up north a lot of times, so that ended up being like the highlight of my particular part of the trip. nothing, nothing else to report in SF other than that. So it ended up
Is that
going
is that the
very
whole
well.
reason you went up there?
No, no, no. Like I said, family business. Had to take care of a couple things over there too. But in terms of like
Oh.
stuff that I haven't seen before in San Francisco, that was the only new ones. I was like, okay, let's go check that out. It just perfect timing, just worked out that way.
Rich homie Juan went to
That
go bless the family out in the San
yeah,
Francisco. I get it. I get it. You're the big baller. I get it.
yeah,
I
right.
mean, you just admitted like you spent like way too much money at the Nintendo store. Like we get it. You're another one of those Juan vacations where everything's just
Whoa,
kind of
whoa,
taken
whoa, whoa,
care
whoa, whoa!
of. And you
Juan does not take vacations. Juan is like, it's very
mm-hmm.
rare, very rare. It just so happened that we did this like if we had done this podcast like years before when we were doing this, like, doing Hard Pass, you would see I don't do vacations. It just so happens that for the past couple of months, I've been
Right,
out.
right. Of course you don't.
Anyway,
Of course you
yes.
don't.
Anyways, and then this week was also the launch of the Nintendo Switch 2. I think we talked about it a couple weeks
Yeah.
ago that I got the pre-order and everything. So went to Best Buy, did the midnight launch thing, but thankfully it wasn't actually midnight. It was 9 p.m. But
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, did they make you wait till midnight?
heck, hell no, I wouldn't have done it if that was the case. I was like, no, I can't do
Oh,
it anymore. I'm gonna lose energy. I can't. Won't be able. I don't have that in me anymore to do the actual midnight launch. So found out it was 9 p.m. So I'm like, all right, cool, no problem. I'll head out there, and because I had a pre-order, I had it secured. I didn't have like any problems with that. It turns out they were also selling like, units for those who didn't have a pre-order. So I was like, okay, so cool. So they're gonna have
Oh,
like,
that's cool.
so, but shout out to this Best Buy or not. They had two separate lines, a line for those who didn't have pre-orders and those who did. Now, the line for the pre-orders was actually longer. It was actually,
Really? Yeah,
it
that makes
stretched
sense.
out.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so because some people are just maybe they probably gave up. They're like, oh, I'm probably not gonna get one. Why would I even bother lining up for something that might not even be available? But it was also a pretty decent
Yeah.
sized line for those who did not have a pre-order. However, for reasons that are unexplained, I guess. Okay, I'll.
Unexplained reasons that are unexplained.
They gave priority to those who didn't have a pre-order. They were letting them in like first. They were, getting like
Wait, what do
they
you
would
mean?
do like. So they would do like I said, there were two different lines, right? So they would allow those who didn't have pre-orders to come in like more in droves, like in stacks of like 5 people, or so, and then like 2 people who had pre-orders. Because the thinking was, and this is like conspiracy people. So that's the thing with the line is like you're around people who have like conspiracies, like, oh, this is why this is happening, right? It's like because they have our money already. We already paid Best Buy. We know they know we're gonna wait for it. They're trying to get the money of
Oh,
those who haven't paid in order to get them in. They'll get them in earlier so they can collect their money too. And I'm like, that sounds like a terrible plan, but also sure, why
yeah.
not? I don't really. I'm not in the mood for like conspiracies or whatever
Yeah.
business practices Best Buy is doing. The thing that I had a problem with though was like their system went down and there was like a good solid half an hour where the line didn't move. And I was like, oh no. And I was looking up on Blue Sky that people already got theirs. They were only there at Best Buy, their Best Buy or their GameStop or whatever for like 45 minutes to an hour. So I got there at, let's say 8:30, 8:45. The line started at, they started letting people in at 9. Got out at
Yeah.
11:30. 11:30.
11:30.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I was like,
That's
why?
that's crazy.
Like, I figured, yes,
There's
there's
got
going
to
to
be
be a
more
long.
efficient.
Yeah, they got to be more efficient, right? Like, you figure, yes, there's a big line for people at pre-orders. But once I got there, it was so fast. I just scanned my thing because, you got the confirmation email and a barcode. Scan it, boom, give me the
Yeah.
system, and I'm out. I don't know why it took so long, other than the fact that the system did go down. And they were also letting people who did not have, pre-orders in, they let them in first, and they took care of them first, prioritized them. So, and,
Yeah.
there's
They should
and
have
once I got there,
prioritized the pre-order
yeah,
people. The pre-order people should have been got in and out. Like
yeah.
that's whack. That's
It's
whack.
not it was not well thought out. It was not a great experience, and I don't want to like demean the Best Buy over there because whatever, they probably had their orders from corporate to do that. I'm not trying to like knock the people who are
Yeah.
like doing the thing. And also like it seemed to work out in other places. Like I said, I saw on like Blue Sky and Instagram people were like getting their particular consoles like relatively quick, like an hour, 45 minutes. So I'm like, I just bad luck, in that case. But also I was like,
Yeah, just I
you
mean
guys,
that sounds like just bad luck at that location, but Best Buy, you got to
yeah,
do better.
yeah, you got to do better.
Like
Like, like I
that's
said,
like especially taking
we
care of
took the
people that did the
time.
pre-orders.
Yeah, we took the time to take care of the pre-orders, man. It's just one of those things. But yeah, it was a bit of a bummer. But also, I thought this was pretty funny. When I got there, of course, you're at the end of the line, right? And I just happened to notice that there was like these two, it was a couple, I think. It was like a couple, but they were also like vloggers. And they were like, excuse me, sir, do you want to be interviewed? And I'm like, yes, why not? Of course I would
Did you
like to be.
really?
Yeah, and here's the thing. Like, so they interviewed me and they asked me about like, what am I excited about of the Switch 2? And I'm like, I'm excited to get this and get this line over with. That's what I was saying. I was like, I had zero interest in being
Oh
in this
wow.
line. And what game are you excited for? I'm like, yeah, the typical stuff, Mario, Donkey Kong, and everything. And do you think the price is too high? And I'm like, for the games, yes, I was kind of, shocked that the games were going to be priced the way that they were.
Oh, that's
But
right. I forgot about that.
yeah, Mario Kart is $80. And
That's wild.
they asked about the system itself. I was like, well, that one, I wasn't too shocked. I was willing to pay as much as 500 for it. So I was in my mind mentally ready to pay that. So I wasn't one of
Yeah.
those who was like shocked that it was like 450. So that part wasn't a problem. The games were a bit of like, oh man, is this going to be like the way moving forward? That kind of stuff. And they asked a couple more questions, yada, yada, yada. But the thing is like, as soon as they were done, they pretty much bounced out. They didn't even have a chance to ask them who they were. And it like, hey, where's the thing going to go? Right? Like, hey, I was like, Come on. Like, I'm gonna have to like Google it like later, like Nintendo Switch launch at Best Buy that I was at, just to find out if like my bit like ended up in the
That's
video. Like,
come
it
on,
was like a
Juan.
like a
Come
young
on.
it was like a young kids, and I'm like, oh, kids, man, like, and I'm not gonna like chase after them at that point. I was like, nah, it's not worth it to me. But hopefully
Wow.
they used my footage, which is fine, whatever, all good. All good. Not the big deal. But I thought that was pretty funny that I just so happened that I was the one who got asked, because you could tell a lot of people there were like, I don't want to be in the video. I don't want to be like, I don't want like, be, that kind of thing. So I was like, oh, do you want to be like, sure. I don't care. It was just one of those like just moments of like, hey, so and so, sir, do you want to be in this video? I'm like, sure, no problem.
Did you even drop a plug for the podcast?
I tried. There was not a proper like opportunity to do anything. It was just like boom,
There's
boom, boom,
always
boom,
an
like,
opportunity.
hey,
You got to find the
not,
moment.
I am not a pro like you. It's you always have this opportunity to like plug and all that stuff. So I need to like take a course with you of like how to properly like market myself is kind of what I'm getting at. But
Nah, you just got to make the moment.
Got to make the moment. Yeah. Got to find a way to like steer the conversation into the making sure it's about you actually at the end of the day.
Just be like, a lot of people were really, really excited about it. On my podcast, Too Hard to Pass podcast, we talked about it last week. I'm just saying, that's how you got to get it in there.
That's right. Hey man, I'm not media trained. I've only ever had like a very small amount of like TV hits or whatever, podcast hits and all that stuff that isn't like stuff that I actually work on. So very rarely do I ever have those opportunities. But yeah, I mean, I'm not a pro. I'm not on that level as you are. I'm just trying to get like
find
you,
a way
dog.
to squeeze the movie in.
Trying to get like you, dogs, is what I'm kind of get at. Trying to get on your level. Get on your level.
Stop.
But anyways, yeah, Switch 2, it's here, and I don't know, man. Like it's I know it's been talked about a lot on the internet about people saying it's kind of like a new phone launch, and it really does have that energy where it's not like the old days where people were people did camp out for this, but it doesn't have that same like hyped energy of like, when you get there, everyone's like cheering and all that stuff. It's like, it was very matter of fact. This was a very matter of fact launch. And if you just wanted to go get it, you could get it. And sure, there's a lot of factors to that. I'm sure the big reason was the pricing. If this was like $300, I'm pretty sure that there would be a lot more hysteria over that, because $450 is a lot especially for Nintendo to like price it at this. Pretty much shocked a lot of consumers and honestly priced out a lot of people out of like, buying them on day one. I'm sure eventually they'll get it, but it definitely put a barrier on a lot of people wanting to get it immediately.
Yeah, I was thinking about that this morning on why they would do that. Like, why would Nintendo do that?
The 450?
No, just make it so available, like so many of them.
Oh, they want.
I mean, I think part of it is you're right that the pricing has prevented people from rushing out to get it. But I also think this is probably a strategy on Nintendo's part to maybe like limit the resale.
Yeah, I feel like that's a big chunk of it because they've experienced it before, especially with the original Wii. And I know that was like 20 something years ago, but I think that left a lot of sour taste in their mouth. Even though the Wii ended up selling like a lot of systems, I think it's like top 3 all-time sold consoles, but in their minds, it could have been more. So, and they bungled the Wii U, and with the Switch, it was a little tough from the get-go. Like I vaguely remember it was a little bit tougher to get it like a little bit like few months after launch. But at the same time, they were still like, but they just wanted to learn. They feel like for them, like they don't care about any of this reseller stuff. They don't care about any of this hype stuff. Like it's a Japanese company. They have like different priorities, different, strategies and everything. So to them, what matters
You don't think
is
they care
that
about
it's
reselling?
available. I don't think so. I mean, not to the extent of like, I think for them, it's just, we're a toy company. Like Nintendo, yeah, the video games and all that stuff, but we're a toy company. So we want our product in stores and people can just go buy it. And so they want to be able to just sell it and produce enough and make sure that everybody that wants one can get one. And seems like,
but you know, there's a value to like that scarcity. You know what I mean?
Sure. And I don't know. I just don't think Nintendo cares as much as like any other companies do. Like they do have, they have done the limited game before. Like there was I believe it was like a couple years ago, they released a collection of 3 classic Mario games. Like I think it was like 64, Sunshine, and the first Galaxy. They put it in like a 3-pack and like, you know, on a cartridge. And they said they would only sell it for 6 months. Like look at Mario Kart. Like I think there was like the ratio of people who have like the original Switch and Mario Kart is almost 1-to-1. Like you never hear that. You never hear that kind of like ratio where like virtually everybody who has a Switch also has Mario Kart. So yeah, man, to them it's like, it's more about, nah, man, we like that money. We make those sales, and you know, the hype game, like we'll leave that to Sony. We'll leave that to Microsoft. Well, Microsoft not so much anymore, but we'll leave those to, you know, the Sonys of the world. Like let them play with that game.
Yeah.
We're kind of on a different strategy positioning here, but yeah, man, I got it, and pretty much spent that night downloading everything and switching over, moving everything over from the Switch 1 to the Switch 2. That ended up being like the night, and I was like, all right, cool. So I'm not actually gonna play Mario Kart like tonight. I was like, whatever, I'll go to sleep. But yeah,
can you sign into both?
What's that?
Can you play both at the same time? Like, do you have the online experience?
Yeah. Oh no. So I've tried the online experience with like Mario Kart World. So yeah, it seems to be running smoothly at the moment. Like I always thought, you know, with new console, new game and everything, like the servers are going to be like wrecked and everything, but it seems to be going well.
Yeah.
I've tried Mario Kart World. You can tell because of like certain like, you know, bits on the screen if like you're playing against actual players and bots. So it seems to be a pretty decent ratio of like 80% real people, 20% bots. I've only played like Mario Kart World for like about 45 minutes, an hour. And, you know, I've given it a good go. Yeah, no, it's the Mario Kart that I thought it would be. It's not the condensed like closed experience of like other Mario Kart games, because this one's open world. So you can just free roam and just go around like, you know, a huge giant map and just go around and do whatever. And then when it's time to do a race, then it's time to do that. But also the tracks themselves are pretty huge in terms of like just sheer size. It's not like old Mario Kart games where it's like, it's pretty condensed. Like, you know, there's a path.
Yeah.
There's like, you know, sideways, like, you know, there's a little shortcuts here and there. But this one, you can kind of veer off into like very divergent paths in this one. So that's a new kind of thing for, you know, Mario Kart. So I wonder how people are gonna, you know, accept that, just because they've been so used to like the very closed nature of Mario Kart. And the modes themselves have been pretty nice. There's like the knockout mode, which is kind of like Fortnite, where it's like, you know, it's like a pretty huge like track, and then there's particular checkpoints, and then once there's one checkpoint, like the field gets cut down from 20 to 18 to 16 to 8 to 4 to, you know, 2. Oh no, wait, no. Then it's down to like the final 4. Yeah, so far I've managed to get to the final 4 twice, and then every other time has been like, oh, I didn't make the top 16. I'm like, damn. Because, you know, Mario Kart both. You're like, oh, I'm in first place.
World?
What's that?
Is there a world where, like Nintendo releases games only on hardware for a limited time?
Only on hardware? What do you mean? Like
only the actual like hard disk. Like you can't play it online at all.
Oh, you can't play it online? Yeah. I mean, they'll probably do that. Like, you know, there are certain games that you can't play on. Obviously, there are certain games you can't play online.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, there's gonna be like, I mean, that new Donkey Kong game. It's not gonna be like an online game, and it's not disc. It's also like these little cartridge things. So, like they're not even like doing that. They're not even playing that game. They're going back to proprietary software, you know, format and everything. It's not like it's. Yeah, I mean, it's not, it's not an SD card. It's their carts from like back in the days. And, taking it back to
I
the old school
absolutely
were like
hate.
cartridges.
I hate when brands do that.
Are you having like flashbacks to the old days where you were like, oh,
Yeah,
it
it's
doesn't
like,
work. You have to like blow on it or like, put the rubbing alcohol to make sure like it cleans out and all that stuff.
yeah, because then they like charge. I feel like they just charge extra exorbitant prices for those things, like
And that's the thing.
unnecessarily.
And that's the thing, is because I believe Nintendo, they're the only ones who are making the carts, right? So they are licensing out the carts to third party developers. Like, hey, do you want your game to because you can just make it online, like you can just buy it online. A lot of every game is basically available online, but if you want to make a physical version, you have to go through Nintendo. And so far, Nintendo is only offering like I believe I don't know if it was like 64 gig carts because there's like particular cart sizes, right? There's like 64
Yep.
or like 8 or whatever. So far, Nintendo,
Yeah.
I believe, is only offering like the huge size carts. So if your game is like 1 gig, 2 gig, your your game is not like full price, and you want to make a physical version, you're kind of SOL. You kind of have to go through you have to
See,
like just
that
make your game available
sucks.
online. Yeah, that does suck because you like you said, you remember the old days when cartridges were worth so much money, right? It's not like this
Yep.
day, like when the disc era was like everything was set, $50, $60, whatever. Back in the days, you had like cartridges that were worth 100. It was like Street Fighter 2 was like $100 or whatever. I forget what it was. Well, I got it in the Philippines, but you get the idea. It was like it's cartridges
Yeah.
vary depending on the size was actually worth more. So there was not like this standard. It was like everything was worth differently. So Nintendo, I think they're doing that right now temporarily. So they know what they're doing. They're playing that game. So eventually they'll release like smaller sized like carts so that people can make physical versions of their games that are smaller size. But for right now, only the big boys, only like the bigger companies, the bigger publishers with their games that are with large file sizes are gonna do the cart thing. And also the other thing too
Hmm.
is that some carts, they don't even have anything in the cart itself. It's just a key. You're just
Hmm.
buying the cart and you insert it into the Switch, and it's just a key, and then you download the game anyway, and
Download the
that's
game.
wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like, so this like it's just a key. It's not even like, so say for example, and whatever, the far flung future where like Nintendo servers are down and or Nintendo's like out of business, and say you have Cyberpunk. I know Cyberpunk actually has the full game on the cart, but like let's say Street Fighter, it was 6. I think it was 6. So say Street Fighter 6, and you have a cart. You put the cart into Switch 2, it's not gonna work because the game isn't in the cart. You have to like go online to download Street Fighter 6, and that's wild. That is wild to me that some of these carts don't have even anything on it. It's just a key
Yeah.
for you to like go online and then download it. It's it's just, and if you take the card out, you can't even play the game. So it's very very,
That does.
for
I
me it
mean,
makes
I
sense
get with
because
it.
I'm in
Yeah.
it. I'm in the ecosystem, but for a lot of people, it's probably
Yeah.
gonna cause a lot of confusion.
Yeah. Same. Same. Like I get that. Like on one hand, I get it, but as a business, I get it. But as a consumer, I'm also like, nah, that ain't it. But I do like the idea of a game that's going to be available online, making it available like via cartridge for like the first
Yes.
2 weeks or something like that. I think
Sure,
that's cool.
sure. Yeah. I think, yeah, I mean, that's going to be the philosophy moving forward, I think, is to make, eventually, like, all, like, developers are going to be able to, like, put their games on carts because Nintendo, like I said, they're going to be offering, smaller cart sizes and all that stuff. So eventually that's going to start happening. Because, like, out of all of the companies, Nintendo still Nintendo has embraced digital, but they also still kind of hang on to like that physical media. There's still that part of them that's like embraces the physical media. So
And I
unlike
appreciate
Sony
that.
and yeah, and unlike Microsoft is just like, this, what the hell is that? Screw you guys. They don't.
Screw
It's
you
like they don't
guys.
even. Yeah. It doesn't even matter to them anymore. They've kind of abandoned it. I mean, you can see it in stores when you go to like a Target or a Best Buy. Like, remember the old days when, like, everything would be lined up with, like, discs and all that stuff. Now it's
Yeah.
just so small. It's kind of like movies, right? Like movies, Blu-rays, you barely ever see Blu-rays in these stores anymore. So, yeah, I mean, we're moving towards the all digital future, Jacques, but Nintendo, they're slow. They're hanging on by the thinnest of threads at this point. Just a little bit, just a little bit.
Just a little bit, just a little bit. And I do appreciate it. I like the physical, getting things in hand,
Yeah.
shoving them into the slot to make sure that the game works. I love that whole aspect of it.
Hmm.
Because I guess the more I do stuff online, the more I'm like, oh, I need to make sure that I have this available offline,
Right. Hmm.
kind of thing. So it's like always,
Right.
like, everything can't be tied online, just because if your internet goes down, or you know whatever the case may be, like, you can't play the game. And that's the part
Yeah.
that, like, I hate that, like, it has to basically call the mothership before you can play.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of those now too. So, I mean, there's a lot of games that are just like require an online connection to even work. Some of them don't even make sense. There's a lot of games that I can't name one off the top of my head right now because I try to avoid those kinds of games where it's like, wait a minute, I'm playing like Balatro, and no, not Balatro. I don't want to use that because Balatro is a great game. But like, I don't want there to be a future where it's like the new Mario game, right? Like Mario, whatever the new Mario game is that doesn't require any online, any, like, every reason. But it's like, oh, I can't play because I can't connect online. What the heck? Why? There's no reason. Like,
Yeah,
just to check that, like, this
that
is an authentic game. Because, I guess part of it is also because of piracy reasons. Is like the Switch
yeah.
One was famously a game, a system that got, jailbroken pretty early on. So I guess maybe that's
Hmm.
part of the reason why they want to start doing that stuff. But at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, man, I just want the game. So I'm not like I'm not a terminally online gamer. Like, there are times where I do enjoy it,
Hmm.
but I'm like, I just like I like the single player experience, man. They're just like, let me get lost in the world, and, like, and not have to worry about like an online feature that I'm never even gonna use. It's like
Yeah.
it's kind of the reason why I've kind of fallen off like 2K, like NBA 2K. Like, like, if you look at an ad for 2K, like, you're like, where's the game? Where's the actual basketball? Because there's a lot of like, oh, dress your guy up in like Jordan gear
Yeah.
or whatever gear, and like buy these card packs, these digital cards, and all that stuff, and you can like have a pink diamond, LeBron or something. I'm like, what the hell does that have to? And shout out to 2K because, like, I've always enjoyed their games, like the base 2K game. Love it, love it. But they focus so much on the other stuff, and because it makes them so much money. And I get it,
I mean,
but it's like I just don't care for any of that stuff, man. It's just not me. And it's a lot of old man yelling at the cloud stuff. But for me, is the actual game of basketball good? That's all I need to know. All right, cool, bet. No, you can
well, I'll
miss me
say
with all
this.
with all of the other stuff.
Yeah, I will say, to bring it all back and around. Everyone that I've seen online seems to really like it. They like that the screen is bigger. They like
Yeah,
they like the Joy Cons.
it seems huge.
So I mean, it seems like it was a success, especially since there's like versions, not versions, but I guess since it's available at local stores, I shouldn't say local
Yeah.
stores. It's available at select locations, like technology locations. I guess Best Buy. Actually, I should check my Best Buy. I'm gonna check my Best Buy, see if they have it.
See, you remember the OG Switch where you have to like do the sliding thing? Magic.
Yeah, magic,
Ta-da.
magic.
Magnets. It's like, who knew? Who
Oh, I
knew
thought you said
magnets would be?
magic.
No, well, magic and magnets. Yes.
Oh, you did say okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I said magic and magnets, but yeah, no, I mean, it's so much easier to like take the Joy Cons off and then just snap them back in. Oh man, see, look at that.
Yeah,
It
that's what
should
I
have been the
heard.
thing all
That's what I
along.
heard.
It should have been the thing all along. I haven't tried the mouse functionality. I haven't there's not a game yet that does the mouse thing. So I still haven't had a chance to
Hmm.
like, put that through like a test run. I'm very interested to see, and also just to use it as a mouse. Like, it's weird, right? Like, if you look at the Joy-Con, right? And you know how you hold a
Hmm.
mouse is pretty bulbous. I mean, it's a it's pretty wide. And then you look at this thing, it's like thin. You're like, how is this gonna work? I wonder how this is gonna play, over a prolonged session. So I think like for short bursts, I think it makes sense. But when you're in a game that's like a real-time strategy game, or those StarCraft, those types of games, I wonder how holding it, like, it feels uncomfortable. Even right now, I'm holding it right now. It just feels a little off, just because of how used I am to, like, the particular shape of a mouse, an actual like computer PC or Mac mouse or something like that, right? So yeah, that's another thing. But so far so good. So far so good for me. Like, if you're on the fence and 450 is a huge barrier to you, I'd say don't get it right now. But if you're like, it's not a big deal, and you like Mario Kart, I'd say go get it. So
yeah,
but it's no rush. There's no
Mario
rush.
Kart.
There's
Mario Kart
absolutely no
alone
rush.
makes me want to get it.
Well,
Mario Kart
for
alone.
me, true. I mean, I get to play the Moo Cow farm, Moo Cow, so that's always been a big deal in this family for some reason. Ever since like Mario Kart 64, Moo Farm has always been like the family favorite track. And we've always like
That's
loved
funny.
the cow just because it was like funny looking, and then for them to actually make that a playable character now, it's just like, oh my gosh, it's a dream. It's just so funny.
Listening to the audience, man. Listening to the audience.
Yeah, but who would have thought to make a cow? And it's also just called cow. It's like, huh? A cow. It's not even like Moo Farm. It's not like, and they have other obscure characters here. Like, I don't know if you remember in Mario 64, there was like the penguin in the snow level where you had to like help the penguin, or there's like the one level where you had to like, race down the hill with the penguin, or like help the baby penguin, like, down like the hill and everything.
So.
And yeah, that's a character in the game. Like, they just brought out all the obscure Mario references for people to like, oh, I know that one. I remember that from OG Mario or Mario World, or it's a deep cut kind of game. So, but yeah, still want to play through it, see how it actually like turns out. But so far, enjoying it. But yeah,
I saw that Costco had them earlier. I don't know if they still have them. Maybe go by, order it through. Well, you have to do it through the website. You can't do it like. I think you can do it. No, you have to do it online. That's you can't pick them up in store. You can only do it online. And
you can't pick it up in store.
They deliver it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Totally.
So.
I mean, it's a good buy. Like, it's not one of those rush out to get them kind of deals. So
yeah.
But hey, that's always been my philosophy anyway with like new consoles. It's like, unless you're like a freak like me, or a freak like me who was like always has to have the new thing, or did the video game job world for a while, you don't necessarily have to ever rush out for any of these things. Like, they'll eventually just be able, you can just walk into a store eventually, just get them some point. But yeah, that was a long segment about Nintendo, which I guess was kind of part of the plan. But let's talk about Puma and Tyrese Haliburton. Thankfully, I want to give a shout out to them for revealing the Puma Hali 1 before we recorded Hardfast today. Because, man,
just
that
in
would have
time.
been terrible timing. Terrible timing if they had done this like the next day, when we're like, oh, come on. We have to wait a week to get our take out. So, man. So, Jacques, what was your first initial impression when you saw the Puma Hali 1?
I liked him. The first I was like, oh, okay. Because we're like sneaker people, I guess.
Yeah.
We kind of like, we analyze everything, I think, from a different perspective. I think the normal consumers just kind of looks at like the wide view, and like I don't know why I had to make that practical and slide back, but like we look at the wide view versus like the up close view.
I'm gonna make a GIF.
When we look at something,
I'm gonna make a GIF of you doing all these things, like your movements and all that stuff. I'm just gonna like pull from like the video and just make GIFs of you like going back and forth and doing all that.
Like, what's wrong with Jacques? So yeah, I think it looks good. It looks nice. I like the like embossed, almost like Puma logo in the back there. The nitro looks pretty clean. The outsole looks fantastic. The two plates inside look really great. And the tongue has a little bit of texture to it at the top. So I was like, okay, it's got to give it like that's going to give it like a little bit of a premium feel. So we'll see with that one. But yeah, I was I was pretty impressed. I now pricing is going to make all the difference in the world. Um,
And
for
that was the
someone
thing.
like
That was the thing
Tyrese
that we teased
Halliburton,
out. Yeah.
yeah, I was gonna say for
Oh
someone
no, go
like
ahead.
Tyrese Halliburton, I would. I'm trying to think what's the price point because what how much are Lamelo's shoes?
I think they're like 110 or 120. They're, I mean, they're conservatively priced. I mean, they're pretty low for for the kids. It's definitely like
Yeah,
a shoe that is definitely aimed at like a younger set. So I think they're like
yeah.
110, 120. So what did it
So
end up
these
being?
could
Like 120?
be maybe 125, 130, maybe.
You think
But
so?
I don't like he's not a bigger so this is the thing, he's not a bigger star than LaMelo.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe
Mm-hmm.
they do, maybe I would say maybe 120 just to be like in a safe spot that's not too crazy
Right.
expensive.
Uh-huh.
Because he's not Kyrie, he's not LeBron, obviously, he's not Giannis. Not that he's not good, and this is and Pacers fans, if that's what you call yourselves. Um, no,
Whoa,
no
whoa, whoa,
disrespect. I know
whoa,
that was
whoa.
very mean. That was
Wow,
very mean. I
wow.
apologize. I apologize,
Wow,
Pacers fans.
wow, Giant.
That
You
was
thought
a
I was
that was
being
a
mean last week. You were
that
calling me
was
out last week for
very
being like mean to like everybody. Now you were just calling out the state of Indiana. Man.
yeah.
Wow.
That was a very bad take. That was a very bad take, and I admit that. I apologize, Pacers fans. Um, Yeah, like he's a star, but he's not household name star, and I would argue that Lamelo is a bigger star than he is. So
Yes.
it has to be at the Lamelo price point. Like anything more than that, and I think Puma's going to get some pushback. If these are 140, 150, 160, I think Puma's going to see a lot of pushback on that, and people aren't going to be about it. Like Salehi designing is a great touch,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a good anecdote, but I don't know if that's going to justify a price point higher than Lamelo Ball's shoes.
See, interestingly, that I think that's why they might price it at that, 140, 150, 160 range, is because of the
Because what?
Salehi because of the
Oh,
Salehi
because of the
ties,
Soleil tie-in.
because he did design it, and because of like the tech that's on it, and the fact that it seems like it's gonna be, and you said like the premium feel. Like I feel
Yeah,
that that might be what in their mind justifies pricing it higher than a Lamelo. And remember when they signed Tyrese, he was supposed to wear that 250 All Pro Nitro Elite thing.
ridiculous.
Although they kind of went away from that pretty quick, and he just started wearing the standard All Pro Nitro. So
Yeah,
I think
because how much is the
when
All
I
Pro
thought about it,
Nitro?
I was like, man, 160. Do you think they already have the price in mind, or do you think they're kind of taking a wait and see approach of, let's see how he performs in the finals, let's see how the reaction is to this, or do you think they're just kind of taking a wait and see approach, or do you think they already have a number in mind and they're just waiting to
I think they
drop it
already
on
have a
us?
number in mind. I think they have a number in mind because
Okay.
Lamelo's what 120, the All Pro
Yeah.
Nitro's 140.
Hmm.
So I
Is the tech
it'd have to
similar?
be in that
Because
area.
I haven't had a chance to ever wear like the All Pro or whatever they're saying about the Hali. Is the tech kind of like in the same range, or is
They
it
it
like
looks
a
pretty much
little
the
bit
same. They have that nitro midsole,
to
which is
the
the
cushion? Oh,
cushioning
okay.
tech. But so
Hmm.
it all looks pretty much the same. The outsole
Hmm.
is a little just shaped different. It's low
Right.
cut, like the All Pro Nitro is low cut too. So I just
Hmm.
I if they price it more, I'd be
Okay.
surprised if they priced it more than the All Pro Nitro. I'd be surprised if they priced it
Yeah.
140 or 150. Like Tyrese Haliburton
Yeah.
is not like God, and I feel like I don't want to be disrespectful to him, but he's just not. He's not LeBron. He's not Kyrie. He's
Yeah.
not
Hmm.
Luca. He's not Joker. He's just not like superstar level. He's an amazing player and like one of the
Hmm.
best in the
Hmm.
league, but off the
Hmm.
court, I just don't know if people really like mess with him in that way.
Well, maybe it's a yet. Do you feel like he does well
Yet,
in the finals? Yeah, right. Like he does well in the finals. He gets his name out there more. I mean, remember, like last year, wasn't it the joke was because he didn't play a lot in the in the Olympics. Like I think the big gag was like he posted a tweet of like he got an A in the group project even though he didn't do anything. Like there was kind of that little bit of a joke there where Tyrese didn't really do much there because you always think about the Olympics, right? Like the young stars or they get to get their name out there, out and get people to know who they are. But with Tyrese's case, he was the 12th man. He didn't really get to do much. So that opportunity didn't really present himself in the Olympics. And now, he signed to PUMA. We do that. We do that in the show. PUMA. We do that in the show because, like I said, for people who don't know, we do it because Sir Lewis Hamilton says it. And who are we to go against royalty? Also, it's a joke.
No
people
one.
Get over it.
Yeah.
it's a
calm
gag.
down, people.
Calm down. I love those comments. It's like PUMA. What?
What do you mean? I said that's what I said.
Yeah.
PUMA.
Yeah, PUMA. What? Anyways, but yeah, I think you're right. I think pricing it at 150, above the All Pro Nitro is a bad move. But I also kind of feel
it's risky. It's risky.
But I feel like they might take that risk though, like just because of Tyrese's stature right now. He's in the finals. There's the potential for him to become a big name. Also, the Soleil connection because is it the first shoe that he designed? Like, there's a lot of different factors that might justify it in their minds. I'm not saying it's the right move, but I'm saying it might be the thing that kind of puts it in their mind. Like, we can price it at this point, and he is worthy of that. And we'll just have to wait and see.
I don't disagree about him being worthy based on his game. Yeah, I don't disagree with him being worthy based on his game. However, I just don't feel like he has the outward persona that's required for like a superstar.
Right. And speaking of superstars, it's funny because
I don't even know if he wants that, to be fair.
Well, yeah, I mean, he's taking a lot of lessons from the WWE right now because it turns out he's a huge fan. He actually shows up at the shows. He actually knows his stuff. So maybe through that, he learns the marketing style of like, a WWE, superstar and, learns how to promote himself that way. Maybe he gets to that point. So it's more of a wait and see. Like it's more of a week. They have to like see how everything plays out over the next week or so. And then maybe his star rises or his star just stays the same or, it gets lower if he performs badly. Also, it's funny because I thought he was going to be the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. He wasn't even the MVP. It was like Pascal Siakam. And I was like,
Siakam, who's just impossible to hate. He's such a nice guy.
Yeah.
Pascal Siakam is such a nice guy. I was just talking to my buddies about this. I was like, I just can't hate Pascal Siakam. He's just such a genuinely nice guy.
And he's a champ already. He won a championship in Toronto, and he's bringing that to Indiana, and people are kind of like overlooking because people are talking about Tyrese being the guy and all that stuff. But if you listen, and I've had a chance, I've listened to like all of the nerdy basketball podcasts, and like, hey man, Spicy P, he's the one. He's the guy who was like, he was kind of
Spicy P. Is that what they're calling him now? Spicy P.
I think that's what they called him in Toronto. I could have. Am I messing up my things?
Did they really? I don't remember that.
I
mean, I'm all for it. I just don't remember it.
Yeah, I could have sworn they called him Spicy P, or was that just like me mistaking him for Swaggy P or something? Who knows? Anyways, but like don't overlook the guy who's actually won a championship and was like the number 2 guy on a championship team already. Like Kawhi obviously was the guy in Toronto, but Spicy P. and then he ended up in Indiana, and it's like everybody's talking about Haliburton. Everybody talking about like Haliburton and everything, but don't overlook the guy who's already been there. Don't overlook the guy who's already been there. So
Yeah, he has a chance.
Yeah,
he has a chance.
Totally.
I hope he gets Finals MVP. Well, I guess that depends. That means I'm hoping that Indiana wins. I guess I'm hoping that Indiana wins.
Which doesn't really matter. I mean, I don't
MVP.
care who wins or loses. I just want a good series. Just a nice, solid
someone left me a comment.
7-game series.
Someone left me a comment because a former Laker is on OKC. Caruso. Yeah. So it's like, I was like, do we go for the OKC because of Caruso? Or is Caruso dead to
Okay.
us now?
Well, I'm more mad that the Lakers ever got rid of him in the first place. Like,
Yeah.
remember when they won and they were like, "Wait, we got rid of Caruso. He was such an integral part of the team." And they let him go, and I'm like, why? And you can see he's doing well. Like, I
Yep.
remember when he was like in the Bulls, and people were like joking about him being an all-star, or like, calling him the GOAT and all that stuff, because it's a funny thing.
If he
But now
wins,
he's
that's
in
one hell of
OKC, and
a.
he's such a huge part of that team.
Yep. If he
Oh,
wins,
was
that's
that good?
one hell of a like revenge tour. Like, hey Genie, hey Genie, look at that, hey Genie.
Hey, le GM, LeBron, le GM, and all that
Yeah,
stuff,
yeah,
and all.
yeah. How about that, LeBron James, yeah.
LeBron James. Oh
That's
man,
funny.
we had to make it about the Lakers again because it's that kind of
Always, always
podcast.
goes back to the Lakers. Always.
Anyway, shout out to the Puma Hali one. I think it looks good, looks great. I'm still
Yeah, I think it looks good too.
wondering about the price, but yeah, other than that, like looking forward to it when it drops later this year.
Yep, same.
Other
Same. Good
colorways
for
though.
him.
I don't know. I don't know if I'm a big fan of that particular colorway. It's a good solid maybe debut, but like want to see what it looks like in other colorways too. And with Salehi on board, you can expect like something out of unconventional. I guess we'll say.
Yeah, and that has a good story behind it too. So that's always
Totally.
fun. I mean, I'm not opposed to that
Absolutely.
this color, but I get it. I get why people are
Absolutely.
looking for different colorways.
Yeah, totally. All right. Anyway, Jacques, it's time for everybody's
Uh-oh.
favorite sneaker segment. Yeah. There he is. There he goes. Oh. There we go. It's Sneaker Mount Rushmore Plus time. Today,
All right,
we are
what's the
doing
shoe?
the
What's
Air
the shoe for
Jordan
today?
10s. Today,
Air
we are
Jordan
doing
10.
the Air Jordan 10 Sneaker Mount Rushmore Plus. And again, the rules are one OG, one non-OG, one collab, one player exclusive, and one wild card.
Wild
The
card.
Air Jordan 10, Jacques, how do we feel about the 10? After the excitement of the
You
9
know-
last week, I feel like it's a bit of a I wouldn't say it's not the 8. It's not our like
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
about
not
the
like
8, but the 10 is also
Yeah,
yeah.
it's very much it's kind of like a all right kind of thing.
Middle of the
I just
pack, middle
never,
of the
I
pack.
never. Yeah, it's very middle of the pack. I never. I'm trying to think. Do I? I must have a
Oh, you
pair
have
of
to have some
tens.
10s. I'm pretty sure you've been
have to
sent
have
pair.
some.
I've been sent pairs of 10s back in the days. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, I
fun
must
fact,
have them. I
that
just
was
don't
actually-
remember.
That was actually the Chicago pair was actually the first pair I was ever seated by
Oh, wow.
Jordan. Actually, just in general. Yeah. Shout out to the homie Santini.
Oh, wow.
Rob. Shout out to Rob.
That's dope. That's dope.
Yeah. Rob sent me a pair of the Chicago 10s. It's here somewhere. Did I ever wear it? I don't
Yeah,
even
I'm sure I have
remember
a
if ever
pair
wore it.
in our storage
Yeah.
unit. It's just not a pair that gets a. It's just not a pair that gets a lot of burn. To be fair,
But,
which
yeah,
kind
I
of
mean, like,
sucks because they deserve better. They deserve better.
That's true. Yeah, I still remember that day when it showed up and it had it didn't have the regular box. You know how when Jordan sends their packages, it didn't have the regular. Doesn't have
Yeah,
that regular
like the
label.
sample
It has
box
that,
or whatever it is.
paper, almost like paper label. That's just like whatever typeface on it. It's just random. Like
Yeah.
you're like, oh my god, what is this? the joy.
That's cool.
The joy, and you're still professional. You still want to do the honest, but at the same time, you're like, man, I didn't have to pay for this.
Right. That part.
Yeah, I forget what I
Yeah,
ever
that's
wrote
a big
about that
one.
shoe, but yeah, I mean, at the same time, it was still like, whoa. This thing's like,
Yeah.
what was it, like 160 at the time? I was like, I didn't have to pay $160 for this? Damn. But anyways,
That's
so
how
that's
I
why the
felt
10
when
has
I got
a little
the.
bit of a soft spot.
No, that's good. I'll say my first pair was like a Jordan 3. Shout out to Josh
Ooh.
Benetic.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Which pair of threes?
Shot. The black cement.
Nice. That was your first pair of Jordans? Nice. That's,
Yeah, that was my first one. It was that it was like the threes and like two other pair. I think it was the Jordan Big Ups and I forgot what the other one was. I still have the big ups.
I feel like that was Josh being like, "Hey, be nice."
Yeah. Yeah, I
Be
like
nice.
actually I like the big ups. I balled a lot in the big ups. To be fair,
Oh, okay. I feel like that's when those happen. It's like we'll send you like the cool retro and everything, but also here's these other things. Can you if you put the
here are
good
these
word in
other
about these
things.
others
Yeah,
too? It'd be
yeah,
really nice if you could like also say some nice things about these, but also at the same time, you got to be honest about them. But is I
yep.
always feel like that's what happens when they send you like a decent like like a care package where it's like, oh, look at all this good stuff, but also there's this pair.
Also these,
Don't forget
also
about this.
these.
These are the ones
Yeah,
where my bonus kind of relies on.
yeah, for sure.
Oh my god. But
All right,
anyways,
so
yeah, we
do I
one of
start
these
this
days we're
week or
gonna
do you
do like
start
an
this week?
old days. Yes. I started. Wait, did I start? No, I started last week, so you started this week.
You started last week. Okay, so it's me. All right. First one off the bat, gotta go with the stealth. Just the
Ah,
easiest pick of all. And
yeah,
part of that is like my
yeah.
nerdiness because Tuvok wore them. I think it was Tuvok on Star Trek. I forgot the episode. What episode
Really,
was that? Yeah.
man. Like they really
Hold on.
Star Trek really got the like. Wasn't it? Didn't you tell me like the Rock Warfare like whatever's and like Star Trek really
Yeah.
has like those random like.
Like
By
random
the way, I'm
sneaker
not gonna
moments. I think
lie.
the
Not gonna lie, when you said two, I was like, wait, did he say Tupac at first? I was like, no, did Pac everywhere?
oh
I thought you said Pac first. But anyway, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, so
this
he did
was
wear like, yeah.
yeah, Tuvok wore the stealth tens. It was in hold on.
Ah,
I tweeted it out because I was randomly watching some reruns.
oh, okay. For
It
people who
was
don't
from
know, Jacques is a huge Star Trek
1995.
fan.
Yeah,
Jacques is
it was
super
an
into Star
episode
Trek.
from 1995.
Is that New
What was this
Generation
episode
or is
called?
that Deep Space Nine?
Uh this was a Voyager.
Oh, Voyager. Okay. Like I've
Yeah.
ever watched the Star
And
Trek.
like
No, it's just not. It's never been. Yeah.
yeah, and like the
All right, go ahead.
whole crew had them on. So they were doing
Oh
like a
wow.
training exercise. They were doing like a train. Tuvok was taking these people through a training exercise,
Uh
and
huh.
all like 5 or 6 people that were in the training exercise had on the tens. It was pretty cool.
Nice. Oh, that's cool. That is a very that's a deep cut. And also shout out to
Yeah,
the
very.
Trekkies all down there, man. Like I guess they were Jordan heads.
Yeah, the shadows are the ones.
Nice. No, I respect that. I respect that. All right, so for my OG colorway, I'm gonna go with one of the City Pack. I'm gonna go with the Orlando pair. It's
That's a
not
good
that much
one.
different from like your Chicago's or Seattle's. It just happens to have the Orlando Magic Blue, and I like the Orlando Magic Blue. So
You know what that
that's
Orlando Magic
pretty
Blue looks
much.
like?
Do not. I know what you're gonna go. I know. I know where you're going with that. I still like the powder blue, but got to give a
Mm,
shout out to the Orlando Magic. I think it was like Nick Anderson who wore them also. But yeah, I thought that was a pretty cool colorway.
okay, all right,
Um,
we'll take
I
that.
will. I know what you're doing. I know what you're doing. All right, so for my non-OG pair of the Air Jordan 10. It's a bit of a cheat because technically it's also an OG colorway, but I'm gonna go with the double nickel. It's basically the
Oh, okay.
Chicago colorway, but it has the 4-5 on the side. So it's technically not it's non OG, but it's also like just it's basically a take on an OG colorway. But it's the double nickel. It's the pair that he wore when he scored 55 against the Knicks. I mean, I remember watching that live. I was like, oh my god, Michael Jordan's back, and then he just wrecked the Knicks. And he did that. Was it like the last second pass to Bill Wellington to beat the Knicks? I was like, man, MJ's back and he's wearing 45. I want a 45 jersey. Dad, can I get a 45
Ah,
jersey? Hell no, son. Do you know how much those cost? Because
nah,
me being me,
fam,
I
I
wanted the
can't help
authentic
you.
one. I don't. I was like, I was that guy who was. I was that kid who was like, I don't want the screen printed one. It's cheap. It looks cheap. I want the authentic one. It's like, my dad's
Wow.
like, hell no.
Yeah, rich homie Juan, even as a child. Rich homie Juan,
No,
even as a
no,
child.
no. We were not living it up, man. But I was like, if I can't get the real one, I don't want it.
Rich homie Juan, I'm trying to tell you. Even as a child,
Anyways, yeah,
like
no.
respect me, respect my taste. All right, for
But
my
yeah, no. Shout
non
out double
OG,
nickel. Mm-hmm.
for my non OG, I'm going to go with the Lady Liberty. I know we
Ah,
just talked about this the other day about Statue of Liberty
yeah. We were like
colorways,
kind of sick of it,
but
but that was before that. That was
yeah, but
before
this one
that.
has
So
like a speckle. Yeah, this one had like the speckled midsole, so it kind of made
yeah,
it look
it's
a
different.
little different. Yeah, it
Yeah.
made it feel a little bit different. So that one kind of stuck out to me. And then, so
Mm-hmm.
wait, that was OG, non OG, and then is it what P
It's collab. It's collab.
collab? Um,
There's not a lot. There's
got to
really.
go with
It's again. It's what it is.
yeah. There's
Oh,
not a
go ahead.
lot. So the only one that pops into my head is Drake's, the OVO pair.
Ah, yeah,
That had
yeah.
like the I think it was ostrich skin on them. I think it was ostrich. It was like ostrich leather
Ah.
or something like that on them, like the white and tan. I actually, so I know I have these, and I've definitely never worn them. So
Oh, okay.
I have that. I can say I have that. So that's
Nice. Oh wait,
my
was it
non
was
OG.
it a white color or was it black? I forgot what he
It
said.
was white and it was like white and tan, white and brown, tan or whatever you want to call it,
Did it have
brown,
like that
tannish.
stingray like kind of
Stingray, there you go,
finish?
not ostrich, stingray, there you go.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Well,
that's
I
right.
don't. Not gonna lie, sometimes I can't tell the difference. Like when you tell me it's like, oh, it's got a
Yeah,
stingray finish or an ostrich finish, I'm like, which is which again?
yeah. Like which one is which? I'm not sure.
Yeah. You know, like sometimes all that stuff kind of blurs. Um,
Yeah.
so for my collab, I'm gonna go with the Soulfly. It's like their 10th anniversary, like they celebrated it, and yeah, it's kind of like a cream colored pair. But I, for whatever reason, I really like the back. It's like a teal Jumpman and a teal Soulfly logo. I don't know, it just created that nice contrast to me. Because you know it's easy to go with the Dornbecker. It's easy to go with like, I mean, I could have gone with the OVO too, but yeah, some for whatever reason, it was like that teal contrast on the
Yeah.
Soulfly that kind of like stood out to me. So I'm gonna go with that for a collab. For PE, I'm gonna go with Russell Westbrook had a bunch of like Jordan 10 PEs,
All
and I'm
right. I
gonna
was
go
gonna
with
go
the
with the
one
Russ
that's like
pair too, so I'm anxious to see which pair you're picking.
Russ seemed like he was a big fan of like the tens. I'm gonna go with the one that's like a creamsicle looking pair. Like it's just a solid like block.
Oh.
Yeah, there was like a black. There's a like a more predominantly black pair with like OKC blue and orange highlights to it. But there's the one that's like a creamsicle looking pair, which is like a shout to like kind of like a shout out to like the KD creamsicles, and that was kind of like his
Yeah.
equivalent because he was a Jordan guy. Yeah, I like those. I like those. It's just a nice like man. Those are loud ass Jordan 10s.
Yeah, that's the one. All right, that was my gonna be my first pick. My second pick is I'm gonna go with Blake.
Ah,
So mine is gonna be Blake. So Blake wore a black and red pair, almost kind of looked like they were like almost Chicago Bull ish, but it was like red,
okay,
black, and had like a little bit of orange in it as well. Just had like
yeah.
the Blake Griffin, I should say, his logo on it for those that are not fans of the Clippers. Blake Griffin. Or I guess I shouldn't even say Clippers. I forgot where he played. I don't even remember what teams he played for later in life. I think he
Oh
played.
God,
He
was
didn't he
it?
play
He
for
got traded to
OKC.
Detroit. He got traded to Detroit, and then he went to Boston.
Let me see. I'm gonna
It's
look at it
so
right now.
weird.
Blake
Like
Griffin
Blake.
teams.
Okay,
He
can we just
played
talk about how
Clippers, Pistons, Nets, and the Celtics.
he went to he went to the Nets?
Yeah,
There
I
was a
guess so.
Blake
Yeah.
was in Brooklyn. Whoa. Anyways, can we just talk about how weird Blake is outside of Clipper uniforms? It's just weird, right? Like it was just
Yeah,
so
it just doesn't look right.
no.
It doesn't look
I mean,
right
it's
at
because a
all.
big part of it is because we were in LA, and he was just such a huge part. Jordan Brand marketed him the hell out of
Yeah, for
him.
so
We
long
always
too. He was in
we
LA
saw
for a
him,
long time.
and we saw him like whether it was like going to the games or just like whatever Jordan events. Like he was just everywhere here, and as much as we knocked the clip, like he was okay. Who's more Clippers to you, Blake or Chris? Like, who do you think is more like on the hierarchy of like
Blake.
Blake,
Oh,
you
Blake,
think so?
for sure.
Yeah, is right.
Yeah.
I think so too. Like I remembered, like I think there was like some discussion about like who's the greatest Clipper of all time, and like people are like, it's obviously Chris Paul, and I'm like, I don't know, like shouldn't Blake get that honor just because of like how much he did for the city? I mean, well, not the city, but for Clipper fandom just in general, because he was there like, was it 2 years before Chris even showed up? And we're talking
Yeah.
about this like we know what the hell we're talking about because we're Laker fans, but I just feel like
Yeah,
Blake
but I
did
think
so much more, you know, like in terms of like
yep.
perception wise. Like Chris kind of legitimized it, but like Blake was the one who
Yeah.
was like, you know, I guess that's
Blake
the
was like the
argument, right? It's
poster
like,
child. Yeah, Blake was
yeah,
definitely like the poster child for the Clippers more than Chris Paul was.
and
Chris Paul was
Chris
like
kind of just made it
the
legit,
addition.
you know, kind of, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
We should get like a Clipper fan on
And,
here to like tell us we're both idiots, right?
yeah, I was like, actually. Anyway,
Actually,
and then
shout out to
my
Roy Vaught or Michael Olowokandi.
yeah. Oh. All right. Oh, okay.
There's Miles.
For my
Q
wild
and D
card.
Miles. Q and D Miles. Oh yeah, wild card.
Q and D Miles too. Yeah, respect those guys.
Absolutely.
And then for my wild card, I'm going with the LA Jordan 10. So it was like
yeah.
like a I don't want to say a navy blue, but like a
Was
like
it like a Dodger kind of
blue.
Was it Dodger blue or was it more like a darker blue?
It was like a not Dodger blue. It was darker than the Dodger blue. It was more like a navy, but it had like a lighter blue on the inside. But the part that I really liked was like the midsole because the midsole was white, and so it gave it a little bit more texture to me and just like a big color difference. But that was probably what 10 years ago when those came out at least.
Probably. Wasn't it part of like that whole city pack where it was like
they had like a whole bunch of Charlotte and a bunch of different places.
Fun fact, that Charlotte was like the first time I ever saw like, you know, from that era, the Charlotte 10s was the first pair I ever saw like in outlets because, you know, that was like the height of retros, everything was selling, right?
Yeah.
And it just so happens that particular pair of 10s, the Charlotte was the one that the first time I ever saw them again at outlet stores, and I was like, ooh. Are we kind of hitting?
Interesting.
Are we kind of hitting like a turning point?
Are we
here?
hitting peak?
Is this like the turn where people are kind of Was this
wow?
Did we hit the peak already? Have we reached a certain point where it's like, oh, okay, interesting.
That's a good question.
That's why the Charlotte pair always holds a particular. I might as well pick that as my wild card.
Charlotte,
just because
just make it easy.
Not because it's like I like it so much or anything like that, but because it just holds like a very unique like point in my memory of like, you know, the sneaker blog era, because, you know, that was a time when everything it didn't matter what pair it was, no matter how ugly I thought the colorway was or the theme or whatever, how good or bad or whatever, Jordan's always sold out. But for whatever reason, that was the one that sat and then eventually got into an outlet store. And I'm like, huh, interesting. And then slowly but surely you would see other retros hit outlet stores too. But that was the first one. And I always thought to myself, is this an inflection point? Is this the nadir? Or is that the correct term? The nadir? Like this is like the high point and then everything kind of
the high point
falls. Yeah. Is this like,
I mean, not for the same reasons, but that's why I wanted to pick the Russ creamsicle pair because, like, it was just so ridiculous to me. Like, I would never wear those. But it was just so ridiculous to me that it stuck out in my brain. That's why I had that creamsicle pair in my head. So I was like, I would never wear these. But anyway. But yeah, good picks. Good picks. This makes me want to revisit.
Solid list. I feel like
it makes me want to go pull some of my look for my 10s in the storage unit and see if I can give them like wear them a little bit.
Yeah, now I need to go find my pair of 10, like that Chicago pair that Santini gave me, and see if I could still just be like, hey, thank you, man, thank you for everything. Be like, I never actually wore it, or I did wear it. I don't even know. Yeah, I just want to say, man,
that's funny.
Respect, love it, man. Anyways, that was episode 40 of the Too Hard to Pass podcast. I am your co-host, Juan Martinez, and Jacques Slade, who still doesn't have a Nintendo Switch. Shameless plugs.
Yeah,
he'll get one. Like I keep doing this, he's just gonna buy one out of spite now.
I know it's not like I could see if I couldn't get one just because they were all sold out. But anyway, I might still be switch to lists next week. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what the kids want to do. Anyway, I'm Josh Blade. As always, I want to thank you guys for watching the Too Hard to Pass podcast. Make sure you do the likes and the favorites and the shares and the ratings and the comments and all of those things. We appreciate you. We wouldn't be able to do this show without you guys. Make sure you stay locked in, and we'll see you guys next week. All right. Peace.